Hello there and welcome back. Today we will explore a technique that actually is pretty new to me, and I'm sure a lot of people talk about that before, but I just stumbled on it yesterday, and since yesterday I'm having so much fun. Basically is using the LFO in the MIDI section of the Octatrack to create generative composition. What you're hearing now, it's nothing that I just put some trig, I give the Octatrack some instruction, and then things happen. And of course, with the use of effect chain, you can create actual composition, sort of ambient, dissonant thing, and it's pretty interesting what is coming along. Okay, before going into the details, as usual, some way you can support all of my pages and my work. You can subscribe to this channel, you can share this content, you can go and buy from the affiliate link down below. These things are all free, or you can sign up for my Patreon. On Patreon I do exclusive content, I have one-on-one with people, so a lot of cool stuff. Also, another thing that I never mentioned, I do music too, so you can go on my Spotify page, it's down below on the description, and listen to what I do. I would appreciate that. Okay, let's get back and let's try to understand what's happening here right now. So, the Octatrack in this moment, it's just working as a sequencer. So on my MIDI page I have several tracks, but basically only track 1, track 4 and track 5 are working. So track 5 is sequencing the Novation. The Novation Peak. I'm happy that I got back finally from America. I missed this guy. I just made the new firmware update. It's brilliant. Anyway, I'm using this patch that I created that I call Dub Stab. And what's happening here? So I laid down on track 5 just 2 trig, 1 and 2. And then this trig I put as a note. I just put a chord. So C3 as a root note, then a +2, so it's D, and a +7, G3. This can be whatever you want. You can, if you want to do minor, maybe it's better you do like that. Or you can do C, G, and C. Here is where you experiment. So if I turn off all the LFO, this what the Novation would play. Auto angry. So the same chord over and over. I actually select a very slow tempo. We're at 30 because this is gonna be a sort of, you know, ambient composition. So the cool things that I didn't know and I find out is like in your amp section, we know that you can quantize your scale, and so I put it in C minor. What I didn't know is like you can use the LFO to create, to randomize or change the note, one of the 3 notes, and those notes will be as well quantized to the scale you decide. So these allow you to just input from few triggers and then play with the LFO and see what happens. So let's do it. Let's see how I did it. So you go in LFO, you double press, you go in the LFO page. In LFO page you choose LFO1, I put parameter note, wave I put random wave, then trig I put hold, so every time that trig is triggered, the wave stay put, the LFO stay put, so it doesn't change in itinerary. And then you just play with the speed and depth. Right now, for example, the depth is at 0. So if I start pushing the depth, let's add a few more of these so it's more evident, you will start hearing change in the chord. Here it is. So if you do that, of course, there's few things you have to think about. This is only doesn't do the negative depth, so it will only add, I think, might be wrong, I don't know if you had only no, it's actually, I'm hearing both higher octave and lower octave. That said, if you go with the depth too much, the range of the notes that will be randomized will be pretty heavy. So that's something you have to experiment with. On the other LFO, you can as well, I did the same, but the parameter at this time is note 2 and LFO 3 is note 3. So what happened is LFO 1 decide the root of the chord, and the other two will change the relationship with the first note, so can be plus or minus certain amount of semitone, although quantized to the scale you decide. So, of course, what's gonna happen is like, it's very unpredictable. So it's in between generative compositions, not really generative per se, because you have to generate something before, but after that, whatever happened, we can call it something like generative or random, I don't know. What I found out is just like, if you have patience and you wait some time, you be paid with interesting chords, interesting progression that you wouldn't expect. So the fun part also starts when you have the possibility to add more effects. So I have my chain that goes out, and here I control, and I go with the Microcosm and Nightsky out of this frame right now, but I wanted to be more close to the Octatrack, so now they are in this channel here. And they're pre-fader, right? So I turn down the fader here of the Novation. And now what we are here is the fully wet signal going into the Microcosm and the Nightsky. And I think here is where the things got pretty interesting. You can bring back the other tune, and then you can add some delay. So right now we are just hearing random patch that are generated by the Octatrack, played by the Novation. I did something, add something more, and so now I have also the Perfourmer, and track 1 control 3 channel of the Perfourmer, track 4 control the channel 4 of the Perfourmer. And I did the same. So here I add a lot of triggers. I could just add all of them. On the source, I put C3 as a root note, and then on the LFO page, I did the same. Here I did something different though. So LFO1, trigger, parameter note, random, same as before. LFO2, it plays with the velocity, because the Vermona is velocity sensitive, so it can change the volume of the sound. And then I didn't use yet LFO3. I could use it to modulate the cutoff. I don't remember what is the CC of the Vermona for that, so whatever, I'm gonna do with my hand. So what's happened now? Let's just listen. Let's turn down the peak. Here it is. And now this is another random generated sequence. So what you can do to make it a little less obnoxious, you can start adding probability to each trig. So you press a button, arrow, and then here, trig condition, you can put 30%. This is kind of time consuming because you have to do one by one. So once you have this, the interesting part, as usual, as before, is like when you start. And let's send to QB that it's a Microcosm and Nightsky. You can play with different setting. You can create these long things that I think it works best. And then I have the same exact concept that I use on track 5 for this 3 track of the Perfourmer. So, as you can hear, it's pretty nice. You guys know that I love the dialogue with the machine. I love when the making of music is a sort of work in progress, is a sort of team play between me and the machine that I decide to use. I like to have some sort of unpredictability, not in the way that I just randomly give an instruction, then I don't care anymore. But maybe in this case, it's the machine that creates the pitch, and I play with the effects and the other filter. You know, you cannot control too many things at the same time, especially when you want to work in hardware like I do. So I really enjoy this thing. One other fun part, let's do another things that I think it will make my performance more interesting. So let's get another pattern. Let's go back, and now I will just use track 1. I'll map it to track 1. So it's already mapped. So I will start creating, turn down all the depth. I start creating a pattern that I like. Let's go a little faster. Let's go 100. So let's say we got something like this. Try to match the beat. So what happened now? Say you just have a series of patterns you like, and that is what I usually do when I perform. Then you can set the LFO as we did before. So we have the note 1 that is going random and quantized. So the moment that I turn the depth on, this pattern that I create will be changed. So what's interesting here is the fact that you can create your own pattern, perform with it, and then have some variation at the turn of a knob. Now, what is the sad realization is that you cannot assign the slider and the scene in the MIDI page. So MIDI, for a limit of the machine, cannot have assignable scene, because figure, if I could have put in scene B this, I could have just juggled with this, and that could have been amazing. So the workaround for that is having an external controller map this knob here, and you will do it with an external controller. Otherwise, you'll have to do by hand like that. For example, now I create this little thing, bringing in the Microcosm and Nightsky delay, bringing in the Novation that is still playing with a random note. And I tune down the volume, but send it to the Microcosm and Nightsky. And this can lead to some interesting thing. What I think I'm gonna use this technique for? It's to record long string of audio, like it's happening now. And then have some sample, have like long ambient recording that can be used for something else. And of course, for live performance, this also is a very, very cool technique. So I hope this was fun as it was discovering it for me. Yeah, nice crunchy distortion. I hope, again, I just said that. So whatever, I'll see you next week, and now I will go have some generative random fun. Ciao guys.